Hello, everyone. Now, Paul's words in 1 Thessalonians chapter 3 offer a window into the genuine, heartfelt concern he had for the believers in Thessalonica. In this chapter, you sense a deep personal investment. This was a concern not born out of duty, but from the earnest desire for people he cared about to stand firm amidst trials. Now, Paul's anxiety about their spiritual condition is palpable. It's the kind of worry a parent might feel for their child when facing hardships. This anxiety, or that anxiety, moved him to send Timothy to check on their spiritual health. Timothy's mission was clear and unadorned. He was there to encourage, to strengthen, and to affirm that the hardships they endured were not signs of failure, but part of the refining process that every follower must face. When Timothy returned with encouraging news of steadfast faith and resilient love, it was as though Paul had been revived by the warmth of their commitment. His response reminds us that genuine affirmation from those we care about can breathe life into tired people. Now, Paul's joy was not merely about a temporary success. It was the validation that his labor in nurturing these believers was bearing fruit. This kind of mutual care, where one's progress uplifts one another, speaks to the heart of what it means to be part of a community where truth is lived out in the face of adversity. Now, in this chapter, Paul lays out an invitation to consider the true nature of discipleship. New believers, much like the babes mentioned in other writings, are just beginning to grasp the profound truths of the spiritual walk they have embarked upon in following Jesus. They come from a background that might have been entrenched in old ways, often steeped in practices and beliefs that stand in stark contrast to the message of transformation. This is a new message that they are now beginning to embrace, transitioning from a life defined by cultural norms to one shaped by a completely different set of values. And this is not a small mountain to climb. This journey requires a constant feeding of truth by studying scripture and continually learning. And also the kind of disciplined nurturing that can only come from genuine mentorship. Now, for us in the modern world, this is not an easy thing to find. And that is part of the reason that I do these biblical teachings, because when I was newly following Jesus, I looked around for spiritual mentorship rather, and could not find any. Even people who I knew prior to this new journey, who were in the ministry, weren't interested when I reached out to them. And I think part of the reason for that is that I don't fit the mold of the typical Christian, or the idea of what a typical Christian should be in their church. Now, if this sounds like it could be you, I want to ask you to please take heart. Don't give up. Please persevere. And remember, we follow God because we love Jesus, not because we are trying to make friends or get the approval of people. Please stick to the race, even though I know it's hard. It'll be more than worth it in the end. People are going to let you down, but Jesus never will. Now, back to the Thessalonians, who were in the midst of that very process of moving out of the world and into the light. And Paul's insistence on accountability, as demonstrated by him sending Timothy, serves as a reminder that growth often comes through honest and well-meaning checks on other believers, and sometimes even gentle rebukes when necessary. But don't be too hard. There is an honest, there is an honesty in Paul's message about trials. He does not sugarcoat the hardships the Thessalonians would face. Instead, he acknowledges that suffering is an integral part of the journey. As he puts it, the afflictions that move a believer are not arbitrary misfortunes, but are appointed as part of a larger refining process. Now, this understanding challenges the notion that a faithful life should be comfortable or free from struggle. Rather, the very act of persevering through difficulties is what cements our commitment and shapes us into those who can stand without constant oversight. Paul was aware that the storms of persecution and hardship would test the Thessalonians. Yet, he saw these challenges as opportunities for deepening their resolve. This call to perseverance is intertwined with the need for practical love. This is what the ancient term charity conveys. And this is a love that is active and self-giving and rooted in genuine care for one another's well-being. It's not a mere or a sentiment of warmth, but a force that comforts and uplifts others. Paul reminds us that the comfort we derive in the midst of our struggles can in turn become a source of strength for others. You see, when one believer stands firm, it sends ripples of hope through the community, encouraging those who might be wavering to press on. At the same time, Paul does not shy away from the reality that there is always room for growth. He is completely candid about the fact that no one's faith is complete or perfected in this life. The Thessalonians, like all of us, have aspects in their faith that remain underdeveloped. This isn't a condemnation, but rather a humble acknowledgement of the journey ahead. The goal is not to achieve sinless perfection. That would be a notion that distorts the ongoing process of learning and maturing, but to be continually established and built up in the truth of Scripture and the commitment to follow Christ. Now, this promise, the promise of this growth is found in the steady increase of love and commitment and an ever deepening reliance on the strength that comes from Jesus Christ, the source of life itself. In this light, Paul's prayer at the close of the chapter is not merely a formality. It's a fervent wish that the Thessalonians might be comforted in their afflictions, that their faith would serve as a beacon of stability, and that their journey of growth would be marked by an ever expanding capacity to love those around them. And that this love is both for the community that is close by and beyond. Now, this vision is as relevant today as it was way back then. Our lives too are marked by struggles and by moments that test our resolve, and also by the need for honest, heartfelt encouragement from those who have walked the same path before us. The beauty of this message lies in the simplicity and the depth. You see, genuine care and honest accountability and a commitment to growth in the midst of trials are hallmarks of a life that is truly being shaped by the transformative truth of the gospel. It's a reminder to check in with those around you, to offer our time and our words as a means of bolstering someone's faith, and to hold fast even when the winds of trials blow fiercely. In doing so, we not only honor the legacy of those who have come before us, like Paul and Timothy and countless other people who have served the Lord, but also we do is we set a standard for the next generation to embrace, a standard that values resilience, active love, and a pursuit of maturity that is both challenging and incredibly rewarding. Now, thank you very much for spending this time with me today. I look forward to seeing you for 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. Um, until then, God bless, and thanks for watching.